The Flippin' Right Show. I'm Nick. You are at www.rei-tv.com. Thanks for joining me. I got some great stuff to talk about. You know, the market is hopping right now. Up and down, up and down. People saying you can't make money in this business, while others are raking it in hand over fist. Tonight we're going to be talking about flipping pretty houses using options, using contracts, whatever it might be. But the key is providing the buyers with seller financing. And let's face it, in this market today, there's not a lot of buyers out there. They're hard to find, and that's why most investors are shaking in their boots, or most investors are shaking in their boots that don't know how to get it done. So, if you could provide seller financing, just think about it. What if any house, what if you could tell any seller, Mr. Seller, if you offer seller financing, Mr. Seller, if you offer seller financing, I'll get you cash for that seller financing, and we'll sell your house in 2 weeks. Do you think that would perk up their ears? I think it will too. I've been doing it myself. It's a new program I just stumbled on, and I want to share it with you guys. So it's a twist. This is basically, you know, I'm sure you're all familiar with getting an option on a pretty house at a decent price, finding somebody to buy that option to buy that house, bringing them in, and making the difference. You know, you contract the house at $160, you find somebody selling it that's willing to pay you $190. He pays $190, you give them $160, and you walk away with the difference. I have now stumbled across a way from an old friend, John Alexander, as a matter of fact, who I've worked with in the past and learned his programs. He calls this method the inverse purchase. His inverse purchase method actually has a twist to the typical seller option type of deal. And John is now providing seller financing where the note is bought at the closing table. And here's how it works. I know I might have some of you confused right now, but basically here's what happens. You find a house, and we'll use the numbers I just used. You find a house for sale where the seller, it's worth $200, but the seller's willing to take $160, because let's face it, in this market, they got to take whatever they can get. The seller says, yeah, I'll take $160. You get me that. I don't care what you make over it. Just get me my $160. Then you list the house for sale at $200 at the appraised price. You list it with seller financing. Now think about it. If you could take any house on the block, any house that you can get a contract on, and put ads in the newspaper and put signs out in front, bandit signs saying, sellerable finance, no credit needed, no banks needed, you know they're going to be knocking down the doors, because lenders have tightened up their belts too, and it's tough as heck now for some people to get mortgages. I talked to a guy the other day with a 660 credit score who can't get financed with any less than a 20% down payment. So you take this house that you got a contract on, an option on, or however you might want to do it, for $160. You advertise seller financing, no credit needed, no banks needed. They knock your doors down. You pick the best person. You pick the one. The more down payment they have, the better you're going to do, okay? So you find somebody, and if you've been in this business a year or any time, you know it's not hard to sell a house when you got seller financing, when you can sell it to anybody, just about anybody. In this case, they have to have over a 500 credit score. So if they have over a 500 credit score and they have a job and a 5% down payment, which isn't much at all, we can get those people financed. So here's what happens. You find the person ready to buy that house that says, I'll take it. Here's my 5% down. My credit stinks, but I'll take it anyways. You go to the closing table. Your seller creates a mortgage and sells it at closing to that bad low credit person, okay? So he wants his $160. He creates a mortgage at closing, for simplicity's sake, for say $200,000. Now, if he has a down payment, it's a little bit less. But he creates this note for $200,000. He creates this mortgage for $200,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. The seller, Nick, you said the seller's going to get all cash. Well, the seller is going to get all cash. So at the closing table, he creates this note, sells it to the other guy for $200,000. Right afterwards, right after the closing is done, this funding company, note buying company, comes in and buys that $200,000 mortgage for about $170,000 $175,000 with the down payment. So this $200,000 mortgage is made at the closing. Immediately after closing, the company comes in, buys that mortgage for about $175,000. You give your seller $160,000. And you walk away with the $15,000 spread. And guess what? If you had more than one person that wanted to buy that house, you're just going to find somebody else at another house. They're so easy to find houses for sale right now and for people to discount right now. So basically, it's going to enable you to sell these houses with seller financing, to advertise seller financing on any house that you could find. It's under $300,000, but for most of you in most of your areas, that's fine. So you get your option, you get your contract, you find your buyer that's got 5% down. You do a typical, easy, standard closing where you seller sells by seller financing to the buyer. They buy the note, and you collect the difference. It's such a beautiful program. A little bit of BS, and here's why I'm going to show you the BS for today. Today's BS is www.iprovidethecash.com, because that's what we're going to do, providingthecash.com. I know you're all thinking, Nick, that sounds like a great program, but who the heck do I know that's going to come in and buy that note and give me $175,000 to pay this guy his $160 and keep the spread? Well, again, you go to www.iprovidethecash.com, and you'll get all the details there. There's a couple different ways you can do this. There's 3 ways to make money with this program at iprovidethecash.com. First off, you could just flip houses. You get a house, just like I explained. You get a house under contract, you find somebody that wants to buy it at a higher price, the owner creates the note, sells them the house with owner financing. Immediately afterwards, the guy comes in, buys that note, and you got your cash in your pocket. It doesn't cost you a dime to get involved with the program that way. As a matter of fact, anybody you know that's selling a house, even if you don't want to help them, you don't want to make the spread, anybody you know that is selling a house can go to this site and just download the forms and do it on their own. So if you know somebody that needs to sell a house, send them to www.iprovidethecash.com, and you just do them a big favor. They can sell with seller financing themselves and just get the money and sell their house quick. Houses are being sold in 2 weeks, 3 weeks' time when you provide the seller financing. It's a no-brainer almost. But you can make money by being an investor and flipping the houses and keeping the spread, like I just explained. You can make money anytime you refer somebody to the site. If you become a member there and you refer somebody to the site, even if you do nothing with the deal, they just use your site, they just use that address to fund the house, they do it on their own, you're going to make about $1,000 or more. And thirdly, if you want to recruit other people, you can do that too and earn overrides and stuff. But forget all of that. Right now, if you're having trouble moving houses, if you see houses everywhere that you can get a contract on, but you just can't sell them, you need this program. It's the best thing since sliced bread in this business right now, because it's so easy. It's so easy, it's so funny. All we do is take their money. You find the seller. I know I've said this 100 times, but it's so fun. You find the seller. You get the contract to buy the house. He sells the house to the buyer that you find, that you bring in with a 500 credit score, gives him seller financing, they buy the note at closing, and you make the spread. I don't explain it as well as John Alexander does, so I really suggest you go to that page and read up on it. Again, it's www.iprovidethecash.com. Check it out. In today's market, there's no better way to flip houses. It's so simple. It's so easy. They bring in their own title companies. It's so they do double closings. All you got to do is find the people. You find the people, you get them to fill out the paperwork, they'll take it over and do the rest. And I am so excited to have found this program, because this is what I was doing about 1.5 years ago, over and over and over again, until subprime financing disappeared. Well, now I have subprime finance. Now I have subprime financing in my pocket again, and you really should too. Go watch the site. Go to the site. Check it out. There's videos there. Become a free member, and you'll get more news like this. You're going to get free leads, all kinds of stuff. Just sign in down below or up above or wherever the heck it is, and you'll become a free member of the site here and get a bunch of goodies. We're always finding other things free. As a matter of fact, John Alexander, the proprietor of the system, is preparing something to give all of our free members, some kind of ebook or something to help them take their business to the next level. Keep your eyes open. A segment episode of Flipping Live is Flipping. What's wrong with me? Flipping Live is coming up soon, where you get to ask me questions and all that other fun stuff. But meanwhile, go check out this iprovidethecash.com. You're going to find it's a no-brainer, and it's going to help you close deals. Just think, if you could finance anybody, how much money would you make? Thanks for watching. I'm Nick. You're at www.rei-tv.com. I'll see you next time.